Are you looking to get a promotion at your job? Maybe get a raise? Maybe get assigned to that high-profile project? Well, I'm going to show you how to use avocados to get that next job. Prior to earning a living farming avocados, I was a corporate guy. And I was kind of a big deal. I was a vice president for one of the largest corporations in the world. I know all about getting promotions, and I know all about giving promotions. And the single most important factor is you gotta be on the radar. Before you sit down for that interview, before you hand your resume in, you better be known by the decision maker's boss, and maybe even the decision maker's boss's boss. The books tell you it's all interview skills, but the facts are, one of the candidates for that promotion, for that raise, for the assignment on the next big project, one of those candidates is already known to the decision makers. They've already made an impression. And 9 times out of 10, that job is theirs to lose. You want to be that person. Like I said, I was a VP for one of the world's largest corporations. And you don't just graduate college and go strolling into that job. It takes decades of hard work and incremental steps, little promotions along the way until you finally get to that highest spot you're going to get to. And one of the ways I was able to get all those promotions is because early in my career, I got on a very important person's radar. This person was an old-timer. She knew everyone in the place. Everyone knew her. She had a very strong character. Other managers from departments she didn't even oversee would seek her counsel. She's a very influential person. And I got on her radar due to one incident. And that one incident came up in every single interview I ever had for promotions after that. Did I do a good job on a project? No. Did I get very high reviews on my annual review? No. I got on her radar at a Christmas party. She walked up to me holding a beer. She put her arm around me. She said, "Tommy, I want to take you for a walk." She said, "You're a young man and I'm going to give you some advice. You have a very nice suit on. You have a tie. You look really good. But look at your shoes." I looked down at my shoes. She said, "You're wearing a ratty old pair of shoes. They're dull. They're old. They're worn out. You can't go walking into someone's office in a beautiful suit like that with a ratty old pair of shoes." She said, "From now on, whenever I see you, I want to see you in a nice shiny pair of shoes." This party was up in Atlanta in the Buckhead area, and I glanced out the window and I saw a mall across the street. I real quick jumped into the elevator, went down to the ground floor, ran across the street, ran into the mall, found myself a shoe store. It was called Bostonian. I don't even know if those places are still around. Bostonian, right? The guy was pulling down the grates to close the place. I said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa. I want to buy a pair of shoes." I said, "Right now, I know exactly what I want. I'm going to buy a pair of shoes real quick." I walk in, the guy, I crawl under the gate. The guy sells me a pair of shoes in my size. He lets me run it on his little brush machine to kind of buff up the shoes, shine them up. I put the shoes on. I go running back to the party. So about an hour goes by. I'm back at the Christmas party. Who comes walking up to me again but Elaine? But this time, she's got one of the big bosses in tow. This is like her boss's boss. This is the guy that runs the company. She puts her arm around him. She says, "Vern, I want to introduce you to one of our young up-and-comers. His name is Tommy. But there's one thing you need to know about him." And she looks down at my shoes. She's about to bust my balls about having dirty, ratty shoes. She looks up at me. She sees that I went and changed my shoes during the party. And I didn't make it a point to run up to her and say, "See, look at my shoes." I just went on with the party. And she goes, "You changed your shoes." She says, "I love you." And she walks up and gives me a hug and gives me a kiss on the cheek. Now this is in front of the sales manager for the entire company, the sales VP, And she turns to him. He was a tall guy, She kind of looks up and she says, "I just criticized this guy about his shoes." She says, "Where'd you get the shoes?" I said, I point out the window. I said, "I ran across the street to the mall and I bought a new pair of shoes." And she looks at the big boss. She goes, "This is the kind of guy we want. This is the kind of person we need." She said, "I just criticized him about his shoes and told him I never wanted to see him again in a pair of ratty shoes. And he left the party, ran across the street, got a new pair of shoes, and he's back." I told her, I said, "Yeah." I said, "Elaine, you're never going to see me in a ratty pair of shoes ever again." That happened in 1996. I stayed with that company till almost 2016. And in the ensuing 20 years, every time I was up for promotion, every time I was being considered for a big client, every time they were thinking about assigning me an important project, the decision maker would sit me down and say, before we get started, I just want you to know, Elaine gave me a call. She told me that story about the Christmas party and the shoes, and I gotta tell you, I love that. That's the kind of guy I want working for me. And gradually over time, I was not just on Elaine's radar for doing that. I was not just on the big guy Vern's radar for doing that. The story spread, and I got on people's radar for being the young, aggressive, can-do attitude guy that left the Christmas party, ran across the street and got himself a new pair of shoes and came back to the party. Now, you've read the books. You've sat down with your uncles. You've sat down with your professors at college. And everything they're telling you is correct, right? You got to do a good job. You have to be above average. You have to look presentable. You have to be a good communicator. But that just gets you level with everyone else. That's just what you need to not be eliminated. Once you're here, you got to get yourself here and leave everyone behind. It's all about differentiation, which brings us back to the avocado and how you can use avocados to get yourself on the radar. The next time you host a meeting and your boss is coming, maybe your boss's boss, especially if the bigwigs are flying in from out of town, don't get bagels and cream cheese. Don't get muffins. Don't get cookies. Make a big old bowl of guacamole. You go into that meeting early, you lay out the guac, you put a couple of spoons, some little bowls, a few bags of chips, pour them into big bowls, then just sit back and watch. Your peers are going to stroll into the meeting. They're going to be like, guacamole, where's the bagels and cream cheese? Why didn't you get muffins? They'll be all grumpy about it because they don't understand. They're not like us. They're not like you and me. They're going to sit down, they're going to say, oh man, Tom really screwed up with the guacamole. Now at some point in the next few minutes, the big wig is going to come walking into the room. He got into town late last night. His wife is pissed at him because he had to leave his kid's birthday party early for yet another business meeting. He's going to be on his cell phone. You're going to hear like, all right, Shelly, gotta go. I'm in my meeting. Click, click. He's going to put his little cell phone in his pocket and look over, expecting to see the bagels and cream cheese, the muffins, the cookies that he sees every other morning at every other regional office in America. He's sick of the bagels. He's sick of the muffins. And he's going to come strolling in, and it's just going to stun him. It's going to stop him in his tracks. Guacamole. You don't say nothing. Don't go walking up to him. Just sit back and watch, you know. Fill up his plate, bite into it. We all know guacamole's delicious. He's going to love it. And he's going to go walking up to someone else. He don't know you yet, right? This is the boss's boss's boss. He flew in from out of town. He don't know who you are. You'll say, wow, guacamole. Is that what you guys do in this office? And people are going to be afraid. You know, they're still scared that you don't have bagels on the table, right? This is really good. He's going to eat his guac. He's going to get some more. Now that the big guy's eating it, now that the boss is eating it, everyone else is going to want to be like the boss, right? At this point, it could taste like dog shit. They're going to say it tastes good just because he did. Then you do your usual great job at the meeting, right? You go through all your PowerPoint slides or whatever. You knock your socks off. You ask all the right questions. You got all the right answers to the questions they ask. Everyone goes their separate ways. Then a few months goes by. You're up for promotion. You got to fly into Chicago to the headquarters, to the main office. So happens that the person interviewing you is one of the folks that had your guacamole. You go walking into the interview with your hand outstretched. Hey, I'm Joe Blow. I'm from the, yeah, I know you. You're from the Atlanta office. You're the guy that had that guacamole. Did you bring any with you? Ha, ha, ha. You're on the radar. Because you're already just as good as everyone else, right? You always do a good job. You show up on time. You have a great attitude. You're presentable. You're a good communicator. But nobody else brought guacamole to a meeting. You go through the interview. It's time for him to send you off to his boss. And as he walks you into her office, hey, this is Joe Blow. This is the guy I was telling you about. Oh, the guacamole guy? Oh my God, where'd you get the guacamole? You say, oh, I made it. You made it? Yeah, I have a great recipe. You'll have to email me that recipe, right? Now you're on her radar. You're the guacamole guy. I guarantee you'll be sitting in that interview panicking because you're just dying to tell her all the great things you've done on the job and all the great reviews you've gotten, how you came in on time and under budget, how all your employees love you and you think you're the right fit for that next step position. You ain't gonna get a chance to talk about it because she already likes you. She already knows you. You're the guacamole guy. They already made the phone calls. The job is yours. It's yours because you're on the radar. And you're on the radar because of avocados. Now I know some of you are sitting there going, that guy's crazy. He don't know what he's talking about. Because you're scared. You don't dare have that meeting with guacamole. You got to bring that bagels and cream cheese because that's the safe play. That's the conservative vanilla play. That's the play of a coward. But think of this. Maybe the person you're up against for that promotion, for that big project assignment, maybe they are willing to get their hands on a couple avocados, make some homemade guacamole, and bring it into their meeting. And you're just as good as they are. Maybe you're even a little bit better, but you're not on the radar. So if you want to get on the radar, you got to make some guacamole. And if you want to make some guacamole, you got to get your hands on some avocados. And one of the best ways to do that is at guacfarm.com. Guacfarm, guacfarm.com. You'll receive a box of beautiful avocados with an instruction sheet on how to properly ripen your avocados. If you want a good guacamole recipe, search my channel. There's numerous recipes out there. You can go to Google, or you could just mash them up and put salt and garlic. All this talk about guacamole has made me hungry. So I'm going to go in the house and whip up a batch. While I do that, you go out to guacfarm.com, and I will see you on the next video.